happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace. I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I choose joy, I choose peace. I choose goodness surrounding me. I choose love in every breath I breathe. I choose God in everything. I choose happiness, I choose freedom. I choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God in everything. I know joy, I know peace. I know goodness surrounding me. I know love's in every breath I breathe. I know God's in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfections in what life brings. I know God's in everything. I know God's in everything. Namaste, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Namaste, 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 namaste. Everybody say namaste, 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 namaste.
Test 1, 2.
Just keep moving, Steve. Come on up and join us.
I'm all washed up.
Join the crowd. All right, let's go. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Metairie. Please join us in our opening song, Love Train.
Join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. All of your brothers over in Africa. Woo!
We are.
Time to get on board and let this train keep on riding, riding on through. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Brothers over in Africa. Okay, we're gonna get this.
Tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too.
Please don't miss this train at the station. 'Cause if you miss it, I feel sorry, sorry for you. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Ride, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, we're rocking now. Start a love train, love train. People all over the world, yeah. Woo! Couldn't get those words right.
You got it. Good morning. Let's take this time to tell our neighbors hello. Not at all. We started on time.
Gonna make a miracle when you believe. Gonna make a miracle. You know you're gonna make a miracle when you believe. You're gonna make a miracle. Everything you want, you got. When you believe, you want it, you got it. You know everything you want, you got. When you believe, you want it, you got it. In yourself. In yourself. In yourself. In yourself. I believe in me. So I believe in you. We believe in each other. There ain't nothing we can't do. Nah, nah, nah. All right. I believe in me. I believe, oh, I believe in you. Hey, hey. We believe in each other. There ain't nothing we can't do. I believe in me. So I believe in you.
Okay, let's get in our last hello, our last hugs. Well, good morning. My name is Shelley, And I'd like to introduce our ministry team this morning. Leading the service and the message and the meditation will be Harriet Stadford. Steve Rivera will be reading our daily word. And David Harrison and Steve Rivera will also be joining in a special song today. I'd like to ask if there are any visitors that are joining us this morning. Well, good morning. We're happy to have you here. We have a special packet that we'd like to give to you. And what we do is we like to call a little gift, and it's just some items in there that will help you with your spiritual journey. As you may already know, unity is not a religion. Unity is a philosophy that understands that there's one presence in the universe, and that presence is all good. And so we just try to give you some tools that will help you on your path. I'd also like to say hello to those of you that are joining us on Facebook. And if you're ever in the area, please stop by. We'd love to have you visit our special community. Are there any children here today? Anyone who feels like a child?
All right.
Please join me as we extend a blessing. Children of light, we bless you. We see you loved, guided, and protected by God's presence. And a special New Orleans blessing. We love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God. I'd also like to mention, if you're not aware, that we do have a children's program. And so we teach children the same principles that we learn here, except we teach them in words and activities that are fun and in ways that they will understand, that they can carry through for the rest of their life. Good morning again, and welcome to Unity of Metairie. Steve?
So now I'm going to read the daily word for today. And today's daily word for Sunday, March 31st, 2019, is rest. I do the work that is mine to do, and then I rest in faith. The Sabbath is simply a regular day of the week. Charles Fillmore writes, the Sabbath is kept anytime we enter into spiritual consciousness and rest from the thoughts of temporal things. Then we let go of the external observance of days, because every day is a Sabbath on which we retire into spirit and worship God. I honor the Sabbath by ensuring that I set aside regular time in the flow of my life to rest in the presence of the divine. It's an essential part of the creative process. I do the work that is mine to do, and then I rest in faith, allowing the Lord of my being to complete the process within me. Today's scripture for Daily Word is Mark 2:27 through 28, and it reads, Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for humankind, not humankind for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even on the Sabbath. Mark it. I have to have arrows. Wait. You just tell me which one I do. Okay. Good morning.
There's music can really inspire us to do so many things or feel certain ways. This next song that we're gonna present to you was written by a writer who, at the time he wrote the song, kind of was writing at first from a place of darkness. And his mother walked into the room and basically told him, let it be. Many of us sometimes have thought that that mother was the Virgin Mary, but actually Paul McCartney's mother was named Mary. And he said in an interview that when he wrote the song, he was actually thinking of her. And what's so nice is that these words, let it be, can instantly bring us to a place of peace. And it's something that we can use in our own life and keep in our spiritual toolbox. And Steve and David and I hope that you enjoy this piece.
And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. For though they may be parted, there's still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Let the words of wisdom, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom and let it be. Let it be. There you go. That's quite a bit out of practice.
Words and music. It's awesome. For sure. Yes. Hi, I'm so glad to be here today. Thank you. Speak up. More. Is that better? Yeah. Yeah. How's that? Is that loud enough or no? No? What shall I do? I can yell. Sometimes.
Stand like you're going to stand when you talk.
Okay.
Oh, effort's the problem.
Yeah. Talk directly into the microphone. Okay. Thank you. Well, I am glad to be here today because this is, yay, this is a good place to be. So thank you all for having me here. I'm Harriet Stafford, and a true student, and again, a true student. We still keep working on it because it's an ongoing process. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about affirmative prayer, which of course is the cornerstone of unity and all the New Thought movement. And so when we go into our meditation momentarily, we have the opportunity to relax and let go and let it be. Because as they're singing, of course, I grew up with the Beatles in the 60s, and of course that was a little bit later on, but McCartney being inspired, but they were always inspired. That's just the way they were. But the idea that when we pray and when we think that we need or want or desire something to happen or to come into our lives, we forget the part about just let it be. I mean, we all know the creation stories about God saying, let there be light, or let there be the firmament, or let there be all kinds of creepy crawly things and whatnot. You know the story. It was an idea of allowing, of permitting ourselves to get out of the way and let it just be. Let it come into form. And sometimes when we're praying and we use our affirmations till we feel like we can't affirm anymore, we're blue in the face, we still want to keep it up. We still want to make sure we're working hard enough at it, but we need to relax and set back, just like we just heard those words. Just sit back in a way, or at least go about the business that we're given to do. We've done all that we can do, and we let it be. We let it come. We let it happen. So when we go into this quiet time, this is an opportunity because we close our eyes and nobody can see what's going on in our little whirligigs in our minds, but we can allow ourselves to be. We can let ourselves just be. That means to experience the power and presence intentionally, the presence and power of Spirit that is always with us, within us, and expressing as us, but we don't always just let it. We don't pay attention. So now is an opportunity to do that. So maybe tomorrow or sometime during the week, when you're sitting quietly, you can remember that it's an opportunity to let it be, to let Spirit be in your consciousness, in my consciousness, in the general consciousness. Just let Spirit appear and be. So let's take a deep breath. We're letting ourselves be calm. We're letting ourselves be free and open and receptive. Let's do it again. And breathe it out and just let it be. Let our bodies be relaxed. Let our minds also be relaxed and attentive. Open and receptive to the very presence and power of Spirit that is right here. Meaning right here where we stand as individuals and right here filling every space in this church with light and love, peace and power, healing energy and abundance. Just let it be. We are open, we are receptive, our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our affairs, our relationships, our world. In this moment, we are allowing the divine presence not only to make itself known, but we're letting ourselves know it. We're letting ourselves recognize this power and presence. It is in every breath we take, as we accept this gift of life. It is in every beat of our hearts, in every little gurgle of our stomachs. It is in every little thought that's flitting through our minds. It's in everything we hear, everything we see. There is nowhere that we can be outside of this presence. There is no way that it can forsake us or leave us in the dust or feeling forlorn unless we forget that it is right here where we are eternally. So breathing in and breathing out, we are relaxing into what many of us call the arms of Spirit, or the arms of God, the eternal divine embrace, which is never withheld, but is always surrounding us. But by our awareness and our knowing, we participate. We accept it. We feel ourselves being wrapped in love and security and strength. And we can breathe easily and effortlessly, for we are safe. As we think about our breath, because of course there are thoughts that just keep coming, we let the ones that are kind of annoying and negative, just let them go. For we have this divine power within us for a reason. It is to bring the divine into expression through us and as us by means of our thinking, our speaking, and our doing. When we think on these things, and we think on goodness and kindness and love and peace, fairness, love, 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 abundance, we are letting that be in our own lives and affairs. And by doing that, by letting it be within ourselves, we're letting it radiate from us, making us a healing presence wherever we go. So today, when we're having our lunch or when we're going to the grocery store or the drugstore, maybe we have to go to work today. We are already and always and eternally the presence of Spirit expressed perfectly, radiating this divine grace and love and healing energy wherever we find ourselves. Even if we're sitting upstairs in Barnes & Noble reading, going through magazines, or looking at CDs, those of us who still have CD players, we are always in that presence. It's nowhere and everywhere. It's not a thing, it's not a room, it's nowhere in particular, and it's everywhere specifically. That's why it's invisible. We must have faith in the invisible power. So let's take another deep breath, give thanks for our life, for the life that flows in and through us and radiates from us. We give thanks that it blesses us as individual expressions of it, and we give thanks that we get to bless everyone that comes into our company. And then we receive the divine blessing from everyone who comes into our company. It is eternal, it is wonderful, it is Spirit, and for this we are grateful as we say Amen, Amen, Amen. How's everybody doing? We kind of back? We're good. Well, some of you know that I've been studying the Divine Science curriculum, which I've been doing very, very slowly, but I've been enjoying the heck out of it. And many of you have read some of the Divine Science ministers' teachings, such as Joseph Murphy. A lot of us have books by Joseph Murphy. A lot of us may or may not know that Reverend Ruth Ann Elmer, who recently passed away at the Unity Temple, was ordained by Joseph Murphy into the Church of Divine Science years ago. So it's a cousin of Unity, if you will. We're all in the same family. So I want to talk a little bit about the class that I'm taking now, which is on prayer. And as you can see, I've made a few notes, but this little book that's part of the curriculum of this particular class on prayer and meditation, The Spirit of Prayer by H.B. Jeffrey, I ordered. And it's from this really interesting place. It's from Texas. Who knew? Anyway, Texas, the Christ Truth League, which I think is very interesting. Christ Truth League. And it was published originally, copyrighted in 1938. So we realize that these ideas have not only been around a while, they've been around a long while because, you know, they've been around since forever. But I want to talk a little bit about prayer and about affirmative prayer because that is the basis of unity, about speaking the truth, knowing it to be the truth, affirming it, believing it, and then allowing it to express, letting it be, letting it come into expression. So I want to just read this paragraph because in prayer and meditation and talking about miracles and talking about what Jesus did or didn't do or whatever, you know, we always have these ideas swirling around. And many of us grew up in a tradition that taught us that Jesus was it. He was the only one. And if you think of yourself as same as Jesus, you're blasphemous, you are definitely off the wall, and we really could burn you at the stake. We can do that. You're a heretic. You know, those are the kinds of things that many of us grew up with. And it's such an interesting idea to think of ourselves as being like Jesus. And when we go back to the teachings, which is what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore did, because they grew up in a religious tradition as well, and They were told that, Jesus was trying to tell everybody that everybody was just like him, that everybody could be in the consciousness that he was in and do the things that he did and even greater things. But of course, that message, even though we talk about it, nobody really believed it because we were told that, well, he didn't really mean that. He's really the only one. And we have our own little convoluted ideas. So when I started reading this book, I was just enthralled by the ideas that were put forth. They talk about the primitive prayer, primitive man, whoever, or he or she might have been, primitive women, were just in awe and wonder of what was going on around them. And so they would try to talk to whoever they thought this power was. But we, of course, are so much more sophisticated. We have all kinds of ways. We can pray on our phones. We can pray on our little Apple Watches. We can remind ourselves, and we can, I don't know, now we can actually email and have somebody pray for us at Silent Unity or some of the other prayer groups. So electronics has helped us to be so sophisticated. But let me just read this, because I have this underlined in red, so I know this is important. How else would I know? Okay. When we shall acquaint ourselves with God, not so much by searching for him as by hearkening to him and hearing him, we shall find ourselves in possession of abilities and capacities and powers which will seem extraordinary. Well, first of all, a lot of us are put off by the hymn, but that's okay. This is 1938. Everybody still thinks God was a man, that's okay. But think about that. If we are acquainting ourselves with God, if we are meeting God, so to speak, and forming a bond or a friendship or a relationship, and then we're not searching, we talk about it all, even in unity, we talk about searching. We talk about searching for God. We talk about searching for some spiritual pathway or searching for answers or searching for ideas. What if the search just leads us right back to where we are, which a lot of philosophers have written about, that it comes back to where we are right here, that the search ends and begins within us. So when we shall acquaint ourselves with God, a lot of us feel we have to go to a mountaintop, we have to go to a specific church, we have to go to the Empire State Building, we have to go all kinds of places, to a forest, to out on the ocean, sit on the beach and count the grains of sand, like Ernest Holmes said. And he was just trying to point out there's an infinity out there and in here. It's all infinite. But we don't always acquaint ourselves with God because we don't feel worthy oftentimes. We think Jesus knew God really well, but that now he has to intervene for us, or somebody has to intervene because we just can't approach God, because God is on a throne or God is somewhere. But if we come back to the idea of the indwelling presence, the kingdom of God is at hand within the words of Jesus, we don't have to search so far. We find the Spirit within. So we shall find ourselves in possession. Okay, in possession, meaning we have abilities and capacities and powers which will seem extraordinary. And of course, that's what we were all taught, that there's certain people that have these powers, but it was mostly Jesus, but maybe a few other people. Depending on which religious persuasion you belong to, there might have been somebody else that had these powers, but was the only one. So they seem extraordinary. They seem out of the realm of possibility. Things will be done by us and through us and for us, which others will look upon and call miraculous. We talk about it all the time. There's actually a course in that, right? A course in miracles, a course in learning how to accept the power within us and allow it to be, to do, and bring things forth through us. And they shall be called miracles, or they shall be called normal. That's what we have to figure out. Is it something out of the ordinary, or is it our everyday lives that bring forth this wondrous good? They will say that we have received divine answers to our prayers, meaning that there is something supernatural about them. But both our prayer and its answer will have been natural, divinely natural. That almost seems like a contradiction in terms, doesn't it? Because we think of nature kind of, grubby and rustic and, maybe even dirty, might have to wash it or just disinfect it or something. So if it's naturally, miraculous, whoa, divinely natural, well, we come back to the idea that spirit is everywhere present, evenly. There's not some more in some place than in another, not more in some church or in some particular location on earth than another, but everywhere evenly present, like a soft light that just flows, or we can imagine it almost like a mist, whatever we want to call it in our own imagination. So both our prayer and its answer will have been natural, divinely natural. For in prayer, a lot of us have been taught to pray in a lot of different ways. Beseeching, supplicating. You know, in the Bible it says, go to God with your prayers and your supplications. When in reality, in the teachings of Jesus, Jesus said, your Father knows you have need of these things, so just accept them. Know that they are there for you. It's a different approach entirely from there's something being withheld and it'll take a miracle for me to get it, to there's something naturally available to me and it's natural for me to bring it, to let it be in my life. In prayer, we are not violating any laws of nature. And this is the thing that I find so interesting, this little sentence, because many of us have had experiences with people that would try to tell us something different from this. Nor are we asking God to set a law, to set aside a law in order to grant us some special favor. So we don't have to be a special person that has a special pipeline or a special note written by the principal or anything like that in order to get whatever it is. Well, that's kind of interesting. We don't have to have special favors granted. We are all granted. It is available to all of us. So nobody is any worse and nobody's any better. We're all one. We're all one family, if we will. In prayer, we hearken to the wisdom of the Spirit and feel our union and oneness with God. Right there is something that spoke to me, because oftentimes in prayer, when we are praying, we are trying to speak to some power that is outside of us, or that we feel like does not pay attention, doesn't even know we exist, much less that we have this need or this desire, or we want to do something in particular with our lives, and probably doesn't really care. A lot of times we feel that way, that we've just been left out, where we were behind the door, we weren't far enough up in line, you know, when they ran out of the goodies, and so we just keep asking, oh please, oh please, oh please, do this for me. Please, oh please, let this happen for my child. Let this, my husband be healed, or whatever, because we do that even though we know better sometimes. We still want God to pay attention. So if we pay attention to God, to the presence that's within us, then, as Jesus said, it's reciprocated. We come into harmony and a unified thought process, if you will, and that becomes our prayer. That becomes our affirmative prayer, our affirmation of good. All of us who come into unity learn about affirmations. One of the first things we do is learn about affirmations, but we don't even realize that when we're affirming something, when we're saying the little, whatever it may be, I affirm that I am well and whole. Okay, and then we walk away. We don't affirm it in our conscious awareness of what already is, our wellness and our wholeness. That's what we are affirming, is the good that already is, that's already present. So when we hearken to the wisdom, when we open our minds and our intellect, if you will, and our desire to learn to the wisdom that already is within us, we can learn that we are already whole. We're already perfect. Nothing is denied to us. So if we are in a situation, and most of the time we find ourselves in untenable situations, or at least uncomfortable situations, and a lot of times we cry out for something to help us, to somebody to help us, please help us. And we forget that within us already is the power, always has been the power. And we, in some kind of way, we deny ourselves that knowledge and that relationship. So in prayer, we hearken to the wisdom of the Spirit and we feel our union and our oneness with Spirit. That's what prayer is for. It's to remind us that we're already one with Spirit. By so doing, we find that the things of the Spirit become natural to us. So we are beginning to engage in that process of manifestation, if you will, of bringing things into being, of simply living in peace and harmony within ourselves that begets harmony and peace with everybody that we meet. Meanwhile, that ripple goes forward and we may live in harmony and peace all around the world. Wouldn't that be something? We'd just be on that love train all the time. I mean, that would be what we're going from place to place, just be in love. That would be awesome. Yes. So by so doing, we find that the things of the Spirit become natural to us and that our prayers are answered even before we put them into words. And of course, way back in the Bible, and I can't quote where it's from, Spirit says, before they call, I will answer. Meaning, I'm right there already. I already know this. But if you agree to have it, it's yours. It's already there in potential. We hear that word all the time in unity and science of mind, divine science. We hear about it from Deepak Chopra ad infinitum. Potential. It exists in potential. That means it's already in this powerful, energetic state, waiting, just waiting for us to allow it, to let it be in our lives. That is what prayer is all about. We then see that we need not fashion our prayers into careful utterance by knowing something by rote, which most of us do. We have all sorts of things that we say automatically. Sometimes we forget what those words even mean. Even the prayer of protection, which, Lordy, everybody in unity says that 1,000,000 times a day. Do we even pay attention to what we're saying? I mean, that's like the grand old affirmation of everything good. And sometimes we just fire it off and we don't even realize that we're affirming something that really means something. And we don't allow that power to come forth through the channel that we are opening, because we're not opening it. We're just saying those words. We know that our very desires, and this is the thing that I think most of us don't think about, our very desires were prompted tap, 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 by the divine love which is urging us to receive the answer. So, that kind of contradicts the idea that something's being withheld or that we've got to do something special to get it, whatever the good is. Here is, before they call, I will answer. In fact, I'm on the job all the time. Whoever you are, you're not left out. Before they call, I will answer. Your Father knows you have need of these things. So seek first the kingdom. Go into that place of peace and power and accept the good. Yeah. So we go back to that idea. And I have to do that. That's why I had underlined it in red, so I could remember this. This is just something, when it dawned on me, it's one of those things. Whoa. We know that our very desires, okay, the things we want to have happen, maybe it's a healing, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a loving partner, maybe it's a higher income or some kind of abundance, maybe it's anything. It's anything. It's anything. The Spirit is anything and everything. We know that our very desires, the true desires of our heart, were prompted by this divine love. Hello, I'm trying to give you something. Oh, don't you want it? Hello? Yes, you, over there in the corner. Open your eyes, because the good's coming at you if you will allow it. See, so that idea of that, because Spirit is continually expressing, and is unstoppable, then it's going to go somewhere. And if you're being tapped, so to speak, to be the recipient or the channel of this good, let it be. Except that's the part we have such trouble with, because we've been taught since day zero, since ground zero of whenever, that we're not worthy. We're not good enough. We haven't prayed hard enough. We haven't worked at it hard enough. We haven't learned enough. What if from the beginning, from that ground zero, it was already there? It was already ready to come forth, and we just didn't know that we were to participate in this expression. So the divine love is urging us to receive the answer to the prayer, whatever that may be. And so that means we say yes. We say yes. When we affirm, when we're speaking an affirmative prayer or an affirmation, we have to remember to say yes to that which we have affirmed. I affirm that this is going to be the best day and something good is coming into my life, and I'm going to be doing something good for someone else today. I'm affirming that. Am I saying yes, or to just wander off and then wonder what happened at 4 o'clock when, it was one of those goofy days? We have to say yes. We have to accept the miracle, if you will, or the good, and then we say, thank you. We are grateful in advance as we see this good, whatever it may be, might be the simplest, almost unnoticeable thing, and yet it's part of the gift and the revelation. So our prayers become a receiving, as it were, of something new, which the Spirit tells us we are now fit and ready to use and enjoy. I love that. 1938. I am fit and ready to use and enjoy this gift. What an idea. What if we got up every morning and you said, in addition to the yawning and the scratching and all the stuff we do, we say, well, today I'm fit and I'm ready to take on this good, to accept this good, to use and enjoy this good. Oh, it's coming to me. Thank you. I say yes. I say, okay, I'm there. I'm with it. I mean, we joke about that kind of stuff all the time. Yeah, I'm watching you, and we're doing all this. Well, what about let's watch ourselves? Let's pay attention to what's going on within ourselves. For this, perhaps, this is something Charles Fillmore or Eric Butterworth, one of those good guys, said, when we're praying, and we're going on, Spirit is actually praying for us. Now, that is something that, when I read that, I thought, well, that's a different kind of concept. But we forget that Spirit already knows all, is all, does all, is all strength, all power, all knowledge, all everything. We say it all the time. There's one presence and one power in the universe, in the world, in our own lives and affairs. It is God the good, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. So we're declaring it and we're affirming it. So let's remember what we affirm. Let's remember that we prayed. Let's remember that our part in this is to let it be. I am so glad you sang that song today, because that's it. It's just so simple. And then when you're hearing Paul McCartney sing it, we're thinking that it's a problem, and so we have to let it be. Stop worrying about it. Well, that's part of it. Stop worrying about whatever it is. Let it be. Okay, we got it. We've done what we can do. We've affirmed it, but let it be known that it is going to be appearing. Let it be in our lives. Let it come forth by our willingness to receive. And we agree, we say yes, and we say thank you. That is the power of affirmative prayer when we literally affirm it. When we know it, we say yes to it, we give our thanks for it, and we agree to allow this good to come forth. It is a partnership. In reality, God is giving, but if we're not receiving, it's just going all over the place. Well, do we want to be willing recipients or not? I mean, in reality, that's what we're asked. Do we want to have this good? Well, sure we do. We're praying for it. Do you accept this good? Well, I guess. I haven't seen it yet. Well, let's open our eyes to that invisible and know that it's coming. Be prepared, be ready. Say yes, say thank you, and accept, and that's the answered prayer. That's affirmative prayer in action. And I thank you all for having me here today, because you teach me stuff every time I come here. I learn that we are indeed in this network. I call it the network of normalcy, because it's the network of bringing miracles into our normal everyday lives. And it's because we communicate, we think, we do our best to hold to the truth and not forget it, even though we don't always get it right. But we're working always. And so we're doing the work within. We're doing the work in our lives. We're doing the work with our families, in our communities. And then it will be. It is coming into fruition, all this good. And no matter what's going on around us, we don't judge by appearances. We focus our attention on the good that's within us already, the spiritual good, and the good that is coming forth into visibility. And so it is. Thank you very much. Amen. My pleasure. Thank you. This is too cute. What is that? It's so cute.
That's actually, it was a gift for a young girl's dog, but she didn't show up today, so she'll get it next week. Harriet, thank you so much for delivering that unity message. Just a reminder of the power of affirmative prayer and how we use it and harmonize with spirit to bring about miracles in our life. That was so well needed. Thank you. We've come to that time of our, in our service where we give back to our community, our spiritual community. And, just a reminder that whatever you give, whether it's a donation, whether it's a prayer or a good thought, we're so grateful for that. If you do want to give a donation, we have a box here. You can put that in the box. And we also ask that you take an affirmation with you, as Harriet spoke about today. But take an affirmation with you. We have that here in the basket. If you're watching us on Facebook and you'd like to donate to our community, there's a post below the post that you're watching. You could click on that, or you could also go to our website, which is unityofmetairie.com.
Grateful, grateful, I am grateful for all that I am. I am grateful, I'm so
Okay, we have a few announcements. I'd like to remind the board members that we have a meeting a week from today. And also, we're going to have a town hall meeting that's going to precede the board meeting. So if you have anything that you'd like to include on our agenda, please email that to our secretary, Sue Meshlin, and we'll be sure to add that onto the agenda for next week. Just a reminder that we are bringing back our Lily program, and this is for Easter. And this is a program where you can buy a lily. It's $15 in honor of someone that's been in your life that's important to you now or that was important to you. And we'll have lilies here, and we'll have a special announcement in the bulletin, and Jack will say something that Sunday, and you can also take that lily home with you. So if you'd like to sign up for that, you can do that with Bill in the front. And it's just going to be a real special program that we do for this Easter. And also a reminder that Friday, April 26th, we're bringing back spiritual cinema. And so we're going to be showing the movie Awake. It's a wonderful movie about Paramahansa Yogananda. And if you have not seen that movie, it's about his journey to America and the introduction of yoga. It's a really beautiful movie. And then the long-awaited, today is Fifth Sunday Feast. So if anyone's not familiar with that, we have had cooks cook for us today, and we're going to all stay and join in the feast. I believe it's $10, and it's just a good time for some more community and some more fellowship. Did I miss anything? Yes, that's in the front. We talked about that. That's in the front. That's okay. That's in the front. Okay. Please join us for our closing song. We're going to sing the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. was meant to be, with God as our Father. Brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And our prayer of protection? And all is well. Thank you for joining us, and have a beautiful day.
Recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color, and can should we unite in honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me.